Have you ever felt like you don't quite belong to this world? Like there's something inside you that resonates with frequencies others don't seem to hear? If you've ever looked into the stars and felt like they were staring back at you, or if you've walked into a forest and felt like the trees knew your name, then this message isn't just for you, it is you. Welcome to the reality of the multidimensional chosen ones. We're going to go deep. This isn't surface-level spirituality. This is the kind of initiation that reprograms your spiritual DNA. I'm going to take you on a journey that'll shake the very foundation of what you thought reality was. And by the end, you won't just believe in multiple dimensions, you'll remember how to walk in them. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a dream that felt more real than your waking life? Have you ever had a moment, maybe just a flash, where time seemed to stop and everything felt interconnected? That wasn't your imagination. That was you tapping into the hidden layers of existence. I once locked myself in an abandoned temple for 7 days. No light, no food, just silence. I wasn't seeking ghosts or gods, I was seeking truth. On the third night, something changed. It wasn't a vision. It wasn't a hallucination. It was a crossing over. I felt my consciousness split, not in fear, not in pain, but in expansion. Like I was suddenly standing in two worlds at once. One version of me was still in that dark, cold temple. The other was in a world of light, geometry, whispers that were more ancient than language. And that's when I understood something most people never realize. We are not born into one world. We are born into many. But only the chosen ones remember. And I don't mean chosen by some external force. I mean chosen by experience, by suffering, by insight, by the sheer pain of not fitting in. You weren't supposed to fit. You were meant to stretch the boundaries of this reality. Let's break this down. Our physical senses are designed to limit us to 3 dimensions. But our consciousness is not. Your awareness, when untrained, is like a flashlight in a dark room. But when trained, it's like the sun. It reveals layers. Layers of emotion, layers of thought, layers of potential.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
And eventually, layers of reality that exist outside of time and space. The first realization of a multidimensional chosen one is this: reality is not linear. It is layered. Imagine walking through a forest. What you see is trees, dirt, wind, but what you don't see unless you shift is the communication between the trees. The way your presence changes the frequency of the forest. The way your thoughts echo into the roots beneath your feet. You are not separate from it. You are part of its code. So how do you begin walking between worlds? It starts with silence. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of mental noise. You must relearn how to listen not with your ears, but with your presence. Every day, sit in stillness and ask yourself, what part of my awareness is not bound by this body? That question alone begins to unlock gates. Now, let me tell you something wild. When you begin this practice, when you start to remember, you will attract resistance. Not because you're wrong, but because you're dangerous. Dangerous to the lies. Dangerous to the illusions. The system is built to keep you asleep. That's why chosen ones often suffer in silence. They feel too much. They know too much, but they can't explain it. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift instantly? That's not paranoia. That's perception. You are reading fields, not faces. Let's go deeper. A multidimensional being doesn't just live in this world. They orbit around timelines. They enter dreams consciously. They pull knowledge from silence. And here's the most important part: they serve. Because the truth is, you cannot walk between worlds unless your purpose is pure. Power without purpose destroys. But purpose with multidimensional awareness? That changes everything. So ask yourself now, why were you given this sensitivity? This awareness? This pain? It's because you're meant to be a bridge between the seen and the unseen, between the broken and the whole, between the dying world and the one that's being born. But here's a truth most won't tell you. Walking between worlds is not glamorous. It's lonely. It's terrifying. It's like being able to breathe underwater while everyone else is drowning and telling you to stop trying. But would you rather drown with them or swim alone toward the truth? One night, during a deep meditation, I found myself standing in front of a mirror that didn't reflect. It absorbed. I looked into it, and I saw not my face, but my frequencies, my fears, my past lives, my choices. And then I saw something even deeper, a version of me that had never forgotten. A version that had lived fully connected, fully awake, fully aware. That version reached out and said, "It's time." That's what I'm saying to you now. It's time. A time to remember. Time to activate. In time to walk. There are others like you, hidden in plain sight. You'll know them by their eyes, their vibration, the way they speak less, but say more. The way they know things they've never been taught. Find them. Connect. We were never meant to walk this path alone. But be warned, not everyone who speaks light carries it. Discernment is your sword, not judgment. Discernment. Feel beyond the words. Feel the intention. If it doesn't resonate, walk away. Your soul already knows. Let me give you a practice. Tonight, before you sleep, instead of praying or hoping, intend. Say to your higher self, "Show me a world I've forgotten, but never left." Then sleep. Just that. Watch what happens. You might wake up with memories that aren't yours, but they are. You might feel emotions that don't belong to this life, but they do. You're not losing your mind. You're reclaiming it. And when you start to see behind the veil, don't be afraid. The shadows you see aren't there to harm you. They're there to test you. Will you run, or will you see? Because here's the ultimate secret. The world behind the world is watching you. It's waiting for you to remember who you are. Every moment you choose intuition over fear, presence over distraction, truth over convenience, you activate another layer. And layer by layer, you become whole. So let me leave you with this question, one that can't be answered with words, only with being. If you are more than this body, more than this life, then what are you truly here to do? We left off with a question that carries the weight of lifetimes. If you are more than this body, more than this life, then what are you truly here to do? To even begin to answer that, we have to learn how to listen to a language that isn't written, spoken, or taught. It's the hidden language of reality. And it's everywhere. It pulses through your dreams, dances behind every coincidence, and whispers to you through synchronicities, symbols, and sensations you can't explain. The multidimensional chosen ones are fluent in this hidden language, not because they studied it, but because they remembered it. You felt it, haven't you? That moment where time slows down and everything feels connected. The time the clock hit 11:11 again. The time you thought of someone and they called you. The dream that told you something before it happened. These are not coincidences. They are communications, signals, invitations. But here's the catch. This language doesn't just speak to your mind, it speaks through your being. That's why people who are asleep miss it. They're busy looking out there for answers, while the truth is vibrating inside them. Let's go deeper. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, every decision you make, it all sends out a frequency. That frequency becomes your signature in the unseen. And the higher your frequency, the more access you have to the deeper layers of this reality. The more clear the messages become. The more visible the invisible becomes. So how do you raise that frequency consciously? Start by mastering your inner field. Your thoughts are spells. Your emotions are instruments. Your beliefs are architectures. If your inner world is chaotic, the messages from beyond the veil will be distorted. But when you bring coherence to your inner being, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions align, you become a tuning fork for truth. One of the greatest tools you have is attention. What you give your attention to, you give your energy to. And what you give your energy to, you give your power to. So ask yourself, what am I feeding with my focus? Here's a practice. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Not to meditate, just to observe. Let your thoughts come and go. Don't judge them. Just notice, what are they about? Where do they go? Who do they serve? That's the beginning of decoding your inner field. Now let's talk about symbols. In the multidimensional realm, symbols are not just icons. They are gateways. Have you ever been repeatedly drawn to a certain shape, number, or image? That's not random. That's activation. The universe hides its deepest truths in symbols because symbols bypass the logical mind and go straight to your soul. The triangle, the serpent, the spiral, the eye, these are not just ancient designs. They are living codes. When you meditate on a symbol, you tune into the frequency it represents. And if you're ready, that frequency speaks to you not in words, but in knowing. But to hear it, you must become still enough to feel. Have you ever walked into a sacred site, an ancient temple, a stone circle, a cathedral, and felt like your entire body was buzzing? That's not just awe, that's resonance. Those places were built on energy lines where dimensions thin. And your body, your energy field, remembers what your mind has forgotten. The chosen ones often find themselves inexplicably drawn to these places, not for tourism, but for activation. Because sometimes the land itself holds pieces of your memory. I once stood alone in the center of an ancient stone circle in Scotland. The wind was cutting through my skin, the sky was on fire with stars, and I felt something awaken in my chest. A memory not of a life, but of a purpose. I wasn't visiting that place. I was returning to it. And it was waiting for me. That moment changed the course of my life. So here's a question for you. Where is your soul asking you to return to? Not physically, energetically. What part of you have you exiled that's now calling you home? Because walking between worlds isn't about escaping this one. It's about integrating them all. The dream world, the waking world, the emotional world, and the energetic world. They are not separate. They are layers of the same fabric. And you are the thread that weaves them together. But let's not romanticize this path. There's a price for seeing what others don't. You will feel everything more deeply. The joy, yes, but also the pain. You'll see through illusions, and that can be isolating. You'll crave depth in a shallow world. You'll speak truth in a world addicted to lies. And you'll be tempted to dim your light just to fit in. Don't. Your light is disruptive for a reason. It's meant to reprogram the grid. Every time you speak your truth, you send a ripple through the matrix. Every time you act from love instead of fear, you collapse an old timeline and birth a new one. And that's the secret. The chosen ones don't just walk between worlds. They build bridges between them. So how do we navigate this practically? Start with your dreams. Keep a dream journal. Write down everything, even if it makes no sense. Over time, you'll start to see patterns, messages, maps. Your dreams are not just subconscious noise, they are dimensional messages. And sometimes they're not even yours. Sometimes you're walking through someone else's dream, or even a collective one. Then pay attention to your triggers. Every emotional trigger is a portal, not a punishment. When something hurts, ask, what part of me is still holding a wound? Go there, heal it, because the more healed you are, the more clear your channel becomes. And finally, serve. Not from obligation, but from overflow. When you begin to walk between worlds, you are entrusted with sacred insight. But insight without action is wasted. Use your gifts, speak your truth, share your light. Someone out there is praying for the very wisdom you carry. Let me tell you something I've never shared before. One of the most powerful experiences I've ever had wasn't during a ceremony, or in the mountains, or under the stars. It was in a hospital room, sitting beside someone who was dying. In that moment, the veil thinned. I could see both worlds, the one we live in, and the one we return to. I realized then that death is not an end. It's a transition, a doorway, and that we cross through it many times while still alive. Every time you let go of who you thought you were, you die. Every time you forgive, you are reborn. Every time you choose presence over pain, you cross a threshold. So ask yourself now, what version of you is ready to die, so the real you can finally live? The multidimensional chosen ones are not perfect. They are not above others. They are simply those brave enough to remember, brave enough to see, brave enough to feel, and brave enough to build new worlds, even when the old one is crumbling. And now, I ask you to remember with me. If you've come this far, it's not by accident. You didn't stumble into this message. You were summoned. Everything in your life, every heartbreak, every breakthrough, every moment you questioned your sanity was preparing you for this moment. This is not just a video, it's an initiation. And now we cross the threshold. To become a portal between realities is no longer about learning, it's about embodying. It is the point where remembering turns into being, where you no longer seek the signs because you become the sign, the signal, the frequency that others feel but can't explain. You become the lighthouse in the fog of this collapsing world. But make no mistake, this is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a far more sacred path, one that requires complete surrender to your multidimensional self. The version of you that never forgot. The version that lives as a bridge, not in theory, but in every moment. Let's go all the way in. A portal isn't something you open, it's something you are. Your body, mind, and soul become aligned in such a way that the fabric of reality bends around you. People feel healing just by being near you. Spaces shift when you walk into them. You don't just influence the world, you rewrite it energetically. And yet, this is not power for ego. Ego cannot survive in the spaces between worlds. It burns there, melts, dissolves. You must be willing to let go of all the identities you've clung to, because the final initiation is not about becoming more. It's about becoming less. Less of what you're not, less of who the world told you to be, so that you can finally be what you are. What are you? You are a convergence point for timelines. You are a prism refracting divine light through a human form. You are the answer to a prayer an ancient ancestor once whispered into the void. You are the future's memory, walking in flesh. To become a portal, you must live in paradox. You must walk with one foot in the ordinary and one in the eternal. You must learn the art of holding two truths at once. You are both infinite and temporary, both student and teacher, both wounded and divine. And here's where it gets real. The more awake you become, the more responsible you become. Because energy moves through consciousness. And when your consciousness expands, your influence does too. This is why your thoughts must become sacred. Not pure in a moral sense, but intentional. Because every thought is a vibration. Every belief is a spell. Every decision creates ripples across dimensions. So I ask you, are you thinking thoughts worthy of your multidimensional self? Are you speaking in ways that reflect your truth or your trauma? Are you acting from fear or from the wisdom of your eternal nature? These are not small questions. They are portals themselves. Each one demands not just answers, but transformation. Let's talk about the unseen allies. As you walk between worlds, you will begin to notice patterns, recurring images, animals, numbers, people showing up at exactly the right time. These are not just coincidences, they are orchestrations. Signs from your soul, yes, but also from your guides, your ancestors, your higher aspects, beings that exist beyond time, walking with you, whispering through intuition, speaking in silence. You are not alone. You never have been. You've just been taught to ignore the whispers in favor of the noise. But now, the whispers are getting louder. Now the veil is lifting. Now you are remembering. You'll begin to sense things before they happen. You'll start to dream in languages you've never studied. You'll feel emotions that aren't yours and yet they are. This is not madness. This is multidimensional awareness. But you must ground it. You must integrate it. Because if you don't, It can overwhelm you. The final initiation is not about escape, it's about embodiment. You're not here to float away. You're here to bring heaven down. To make the unseen seen through your presence, your words, your actions. So here's what I want you to remember. Your body is a temple for cosmic information. Treat it like a sacred site. Eat with reverence, rest with honor. Move with intention. Your emotions are gateways to timelines. Don't suppress them. Feel them fully, then follow them to the source. Your relationships are mirrors. Every person you attract is a reflection of your frequency. Learn from them. Release what no longer aligns. And your purpose, it's not a job. It's not a title. It's not something you find. It's something you live. Every moment you choose presence over distraction, love over fear, truth over comfort, you are living your purpose. And now, a truth that may shake you, you are not here to be liked. You are here to be light. And sometimes, light burns through illusions. Sometimes it blinds those who aren't ready to see. But that is not your burden. Your only task is to shine anyway. Let me share something sacred. In a vision, I once saw a circle of beings, each glowing with their own frequency. Some were human, some were not. Some were ancient, some were unborn. But all of them were watching us, watching you. And they weren't judging, they were cheering. Because they knew that the ones who chose to incarnate now during this chaos, this collapse, this crossroads are the bravest souls in the universe. You didn't come here to survive. You came to remember, to awaken, to activate others. You are the medicine. You are the message. You are the multidimensional miracle walking in human form. So what now? Breathe. Connect with the earth. She is your anchor. Speak with the stars. They are your kin. Trust your intuition. It is your compass. And walk this world knowing that every step you take is a bridge between the seen and the unseen. And when the days get heavy, when the doubt creeps in, when the world feels too much, remember this: you are not the storm. You are the eye of the storm. The still point, the center, the portal. So I leave you with one final question, not to answer, but to become. If you are the doorway between worlds, what world will you choose to open? Walk well, chosen one. The real journey begins now.